And we are back on the Chosen Baseball Journey, the podcast. That is Kareem Garcia, MLB slugger, and gives advice to fantasy baseball land all around. Jonathan A. Cohen. And we are here today. And Kareem, actually, we were talking off the air, and I said, Kareem, we got to save this. We got to talk about on the air. So you live out in Texas. I'm in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Kareem. Do you know what it's like when you have a spring and summer and 60 to 80% of your days are rainy?
Oh man, that's not good at all. I would have hated a lot, and I'll tell you why. Because I like to be outdoors all the time. I play golf at least 3 to 4 times a week. So if it's raining every day, you're crushing me right now. Other than me going to the gym in the mornings and playing golf in the afternoons, it's not too much other things that I'm doing right now.
I have not had to turn on the sprinklers once. Okay. We are now in August into September. You know, we've had plus 30, plus 40 Celsius days. It's been very humid, but it is raining literally every other day and just so depressing. And I think that has affected the Toronto Blue Jays greatly because apparently they don't respond very well to rain. Because at the beginning of the year, you picked them as the World Series contender, and it's not gone so well, unfortunately. I gotta ask you because when I heard an MLB manager got chopped in August, I thought for sure it was going to be in Toronto and they're going to let go of everybody. But it started with the White Sox. Gotta ask you because when you can't make filet mignon out of crap, so with what the White Sox coaching staff had to work with, Crochet was a revelation, yes. Fede was pretty good. Man, they had nothing. They gave them nothing really to work with. This was a team on the rebuild and hoping they would get decent stats so they can flip them at the deadline. How is it that they lost their jobs and the Toronto Blue Jays coaches and management get to keep their jobs?
I mean, the pressure that is probably in Chicago White Sox last year, they fired the GM and they fired the president of the team, I guess. I don't know. They fired two guys last year from Chicago White Sox because the underperformance that they had. And these years are again underperforming even worse than the Oakland A's, where everybody was expecting to lose 150 out of 162 games. And actually, Oakland is playing a lot better than everybody expected. They're still in last place, don't get me wrong, but they got 48 wins, 68 losses compared to the Chicago White Sox that they have 28 wins and 89 losses. Imagine that.
Do you know why Oakland's playing well? I told you in a
Why?
previous episode because they're watching the movie Major League on repeat. Because remember, the owner of the Indians at the time said, "We're going to move this team." And then the team has to play so great to show them. That's the
Yeah.
exact plot of Major League. So they're going to be moving to Sacramento next year because it was enough close for their territory rights and for getting the subsidies from Major League Baseball. But those Oakland A's players playing in front of like 5,000 fans a game, they're literally living out the movie Major League. You know, they found the worst players possible from all the corners of the earth and they're all banded together. This is a modern day Major League. But the White Sox was fully expected. This team is a disaster. I have the solution for the White Sox. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
It's time to bring back Ozzie Guillen. This is the curse of the Guillen. He won you the World Series. You threw him out to the garbage. It's time to bring back Ozzie Guillen, the favorite son. You know he's gonna kick ass and take no prisoners. I like Ozzie Guillen back with the White Sox because he can't do worse than where they're at now.
I would love to see Ozzie Guillen back with the Chicago White Sox because the energy that he brings, and this is one of the guys that doesn't really care about anyone besides winning. He will scream and scream at you if you're doing wrong, if you're not running the bases, if you're doing stupid stuff. He is the guy that is going to get into your face and let you know exactly how it is. And I would love for Ozzy to be like that. Managers nowadays are treating the players a little more cute, like don't touch him, just nice words for you to feel better, compared to the old school managers like La Russa, Lasorda. Well, because Joe Torre, they will get into your face and let you know exactly how bad you are doing right now and what you need to do to continue to be in the team. If not, you're gonna be gone.
Do you have any Ozzie Guillen stories for us in the past? Any interactions with him?
Man, no, no. I'll say hello, and it's always been great to say hi to him. But other than that, no.
Grady Sizemore?
He was with Cleveland when I was there, but he was in the minor league. So I wish him the best. But I mean, what can I wish him because you know what kind of thing he has.
Grady Sizemore is not a guy that I see being like Hal McRae coming and throwing telephones and TVs in the clubhouse. Grady Sizemore always had a smile on his face, nicest guy in the world. He still looks like he's in grade eight. You know, he's so young. He always looks young. And the team's gonna come in and you're having one of the worst seasons ever. And I guess they're trying to inspire them with love and kindness because I feel like he's gonna be so nice to everybody, and they're hoping maybe that's gonna work. But that's the approach I think they did it for. It didn't feel like they were very stressed over there with a hard ass manager. Uh, Again, Grifol can only do what he could do. I think they got to whip them into shape. I want to bring in I want to bring a Joe Girardi type, anybody, Bobby Valentine, whatever it takes at this point. But it's clearly not working, and I think being kind to these guys, I think they're going to end up with one of the worst records in Major League history, unfortunately.
They're on their way to lose 121 games and set the new record. But I think the manager that I would like to see him that actually I play for him, and it's a hard nosed guy is Buck Showalter. Buck Showalter has changed franchises from bad to good. When the Yankees start doing good, who was the manager before Joe Torre? Buck Showalter is the guy that started giving the opportunity to these young guys and shaping the way that they work. And I'm talking about the Jeter, the Posada, the Bernie, Andy Pettit, the core four of those guys with the Yankees. In Arizona Diamondbacks, when he was my manager, we had the worst record in major leagues. We lost over 100 games our first season because we have veteran guys, but they were on their way out, though. And with all respect, because they're great players, Matt Williams, Jay Bell, Yvonne White, Andy Bennett, those are the guys that we have that were veterans, but they were, in the last few seasons. And what happened, Buck Showalter started bringing some other guys, and all of a sudden, when they got everybody together, they got the Randy Johnson, the Chillins, they fire Showalter, and they bring the new manager, and they win the World Series.
If you got a call from the White Sox and the Blue Jays right now, and they said, Kareem, we love what you're doing here on the podcast. You know what? We need some intelligence and some hitting help. Which team would you take the coaching job with if you could pick right now between the two?
Ooh, I like to go to Toronto. I like Toronto.
We got great restaurants over here, I gotta say, and
Yes.
more than likely your car is not going to get scratched or damaged, compared to Chicago. But Toronto, if you're going to come and manage a coach in Toronto, I'm pretty sure come April it's going to be Don Mattingly as the manager. I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing some upheaval here. Shapiro's days, I mean, he did upgrade the stadium, which was his mandate, but you come into the end of the season. Your farm system is bare, aging team, not looking very promising in Toronto, unfortunately.
Now they're gonna have to start rebuilding from now on. Start getting the young prospects in the AAA, AA, getting the opportunity. As soon as September comes around, which is where I was right now. In 25 days or whatever it is, to finish this month, and you got a 40-man roster to spend. I bring everyone to give an opportunity to see exactly what they can do at the major league level, and then you can start looking into the guys that they're actually going to help you for next year, and the guys that you're going to need to season a little more the next year.
Considering the haul they got for Kikuchi, imagine the Dodgers, the Yankees. Gosman would look very good as a number two in any of those teams. Number three, he's been pitching pretty well for the Jays. I mean, he had it up and down. He was injured in spring training, took a slow start to the year, but second half he's been pretty strong. Always good strikeout numbers. I'm really shocked that Kevin Gosman is a Blue Jay going into September.
Not at all, because you need to keep some pitching if you're gonna compete for next year. They're not thinking about this year anymore. They know they're not going anywhere this year, but you still got to keep some of the top pieces for you for next year. And if you can build in two or three pitchers and bring some hitters, you might be now not in contention, I would say, because you have to compete against the Yankees, the Baltimore, and the Red Sox. Because Tampa did a fire sale, and they got no one right now. They got a lot of prospects.
But they have a lot of prospects. Exactly. They always have prospects. And
Yeah.
this is where your gut feeling going into next year, next season, and going to next spring training, you think the Blue Jays may more likely go and pick up some more bats and some arms and retool, and that's probably the direction they're going in. Because I assume keeping Bassett, keeping Gosman, keeping Vladdy, keeping Bo, they still think they got a shot at this thing in the future.
Well, I mean, they got a pretty good core, you know. I mean, if you didn't trade Vladimir Guerrero, you didn't trade Bassett, it's because you're thinking about next year and see what can you add. And we'll have to see who are the free agents and what they're asking for. If the free agents go for the same thing as this year and they wait to the end of the spring training or to spring training next year to sign, it's going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of people out there that they can actually sign depending on the contracts that they're looking for and and what is the budget for the Toronto Blue Jays.
You know, a team we don't talk about very often on the show because not much going on over there, but they've been sneaky decent this year is the Detroit Tigers. Always loved watching Tigers going over to Comerica. And you know what? Tarek Skubal, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Now nice young outfielders there. I like where the Tigers are going with this. You know, they're going to go with power and speed in the outfield. They're going to get arms. They put it together. You know what? Another couple years, may see even a division win over there.
I mean, their competition is not as difficult as the other divisions, but you see always Cleveland, they always have great prospects, great pitching. Minnesota is always at top. Usually it's just first or second all the time, for the last 15 years. Kansas City's been doing great. They had a World Series already won. They won the World Series in 2015. So Detroit hasn't done or been on the World Series since 1980 something. In the playoff, it's been only a few in the 2000s. They got good pitching, but they need a little more than that because when they built that stadium, they didn't do it right because the old Tiger Stadium, the ball will fly all over the place, And this gun is you're really gonna hit the ball to hit a home run so that in Detroit, and you're gonna have great pitching and some not power because it's really hard to hit a lot of home runs over there, but a lot of Tory Wayne type of guys, a lot of Arias type of guys, that slap the ball with one or two power hitters.
As we're into today's episode, I got to ask you because everybody talks about the AL East and the AL East being the best division in baseball, but if in the NL Central all the teams finish at 500 or above, you know what? It's a pretty sneaky division over there. It's one of those divisions. You got the Cards that you were talking about another episode. That they might be squeaking to the playoffs. Brewers are always in contention. They find a way. Devin Williams came back, got him on the fantasy team, and the Cincinnati Reds with all those prospects. You know what? I'm not writing off that Central yet in the NL there. I think that this is a pretty good division. Milwaukee maybe will do a little bit of damage this year if everybody stays healthy. I don't think they get enough love in the NL Central.
Yeah, you're right. It's a sneaky division, like you mentioned. That St. Louis is coming in. They're still 7 games behind Milwaukee, but on the wild card, they're only 2.5 games behind. Making it to the playoffs. So, which is interesting. And it's still in August. They can actually make a run for it. Pittsburgh is 2 games below 500. So it's Chicago 3 games, which I'm surprised Chicago Cubs, because I would have thought Chicago Cubs were going to go and win the division outright. And Milwaukee's doing it, a lot better than they're doing. With the manager that was in Milwaukee now is in Chicago, Craig Counsell.
Yeah, yeah, and I figured he had to get about a season under his belt, but those Cubbies are going to be dangerous. More prospects come in. They like to sign free agents. Should be interesting. Interesting going into the playoffs. There are a lot of teams I thought were going to contend that aren't. I'm still sticking to the Rangers and Phillies. I think that's where things are going to play out. But we still got a lot of baseball to play. And I think when you're looking and you're trying to predict playoff baseball this year, Kareem, to me, it all comes down to health. It all comes down to the injuries and who's going to come in the healthiest and have the most amount of horses coming into this thing. Because you think about how many injuries, and every day a new pitcher is getting Tommy John or a brace surgery. I don't remember a season where there's been this many injuries for this many players, especially pitchers.
Yeah, we're talking about it in April. How many guys went down in April? To start the season, 25 guys, something like that. Start putting records from the beginning. But another thing that we haven't talked about, and they came from last to first. You know who they are in the American League West?
The
The
Astros.
Astros. The Astros.
I never
They
wrote
were
off the
in last.
Astros.
They were in last place in April and the beginning of May. They are tied on first place with the Seattle Mariners right now, and that's a team that has a lot of experience in playoff, World Series, and everything else. So the Rangers is going to have a tough month of September if they want to catch up to them.
There's also a thing in life, personally and professionally, never peak too early. And this is where the Astros, may I agree with you fully, but they if they would have gotten hotter a little bit later into the season, because I've seen a lot of teams that get hot in first place. With those Rangers, my feeling is the Grom, all these guys, if they come back and they get a hot September, it could be a dogfight in that AL West. It's a lot of good teams. Again, Seattle picking up some hitting. This is good for baseball. Look, there's a lot of teams. There's more playoff spots and a lot of teams in contention. And this is a good thing. You know what? If it was just the Yankees and the Dodgers and they are going to win 140 games, let's say, and everybody else is so inferior, that's not a good thing. There's a lot of teams that are still in it. The parity in baseball, because compared to, let's say, basketball, hockey, you have a 25, 26 man roster. You got to have a lot of talent spread throughout. You can't just rely on three, four players.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why baseball has 25 guys over there. Then it's a rotation and give opportunity to everyone. Makes it a little more fun for the fan base. I'm guessing. Basketball you only have two guys that come in and come out and stuff like that. Over here, you're trading guys, you're bringing guys, you're calling up guys, and it's a lot more fun. And Philadelphia is looking fantastic too because they have the best record in Major Leagues right now, and they've been for a while. They got 69 wins and 46 losses compared to the Yankees in Baltimore, was one game behind both of them.
They were my pick for the World Series last year. They're my pick again. I just when you have that much talent and you're on the brink, you're on the brink. If Estevez can be the lockdown closer that Kimbrel wasn't, it's gonna be hard to beat those Phillies. But again, it's health. Harper, Castellanos, can they all make it through?
Yeah.
While the Blue Jay prediction did not go right, one prediction did go right. And I gotta ask you as we end today's episode, Cody Senga. I held on to him all year on my fantasy team. He made his rehab starts. He was throwing bullpens, throwing to live batters. Finally went out for rehab starts. Had a great first start and got taken out of that game, and it was over. How did you know to predict that Cody Senga would last one start?
I told you from the beginning, the guy should have had the surgery as soon as they started the season for having him next year. Now the sudden you waited so long trying to rehab and get him ready that you might even lose him half of the year next year.
Well, the funny thing is, he lost it on the hamstring. They're calling it the hamstring injury, so they're not even
Correct.
going to give him shoulder surgery from the sounds of it. Which only means to me if they delay it yet again and he comes back next year, that's probably when the shoulder surgery is going to come up. Like in my head, if you already lost the season at this point, it's why not just finish it off like completely? But I think they're hoping through rest and rehab. But for every one guy that's able to do it, there's 1,000 guys who end up just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah, if you have an arthroscopic surgery, it might take you, 4 or 5 months. You'll be ready for spring training. But if you're delaying all this stuff and wait till December to do this, you won't be ready for anything, not even the beginning of the season. Because, I mean, your legs, your hamstrings, they will recover in 3 to 6 weeks. But your shoulder takes a lot of time, a lot of rehab, a lot of start doing your weights little by little, making stronger shoulder and stuff like that. I had surgery on my shoulder, and I know how long it took to me as a player, not as a pitcher. So which is different.
Have you by chance seen Yamamoto anywhere? How's he doing?
I gotta call the doctor see what's going on.
I hope he comes back for the playoffs, but as the clock ticks, Kareem, him, DeGrom, it's like, man, it's you Kershaw came back, but it's so hard. It's so hard. It's where, good pitching and lasted all year really says a lot, and that's not an easy quantity to find anymore in baseball.
Yeah, it's easier for Otani to pitch right now than Yamamoto coming back. And Otani's gonna be pitching with his left hand. He's gonna throw with the left hand now.
Given how well Otani has hit all year, would you let him pitch next year?
Yes,
Yeah, I don't think there's a
absolutely.
choice. Yeah, when you have one of the best pitchers and best hitters in baseball, and you're paying him bazillion dollars, you must.
Yes.
That's all today for the Chosen Baseball Journey. Kareem Garcia, Jonathan A. Cohen will be back next week. Make sure you send in your questions, subscribe to our podcast, and you never know what we'll be discussing in the world of baseball. Stay tuned.